and welcome. And today, this week, talking about beauty. There is a book, there's usually a book on everyone's nightstand that is sort of your go to. I could read this book all the time, and mine is Beauty by John O'Donohue. And I was sharing, I think, with Mary Lou that I can pick that book up at any time and just it grounds me, it calms me, it inspires me. I can open it to any page. He's just such a beautiful writer and has such a way of expressing things that I can't, and I just really love his work. But he talks about this idea of awakening and surrendering. And I think if you read the newsletter, I referred to it in the newsletter that we have a day of awakening and surrendering. We have a whole life of awakening and surrendering. And in between those points, a journey that is filled with many things. And so as we move back and forth, today's theme is a little bit around that moving from light to dark, or from inward to outward, that awakening to surrender. And so we'll go through a little bit of a flow. And I invite you to also find still life at some point if you feel spontaneously called to hold something a little bit longer, or hang out with something. But the big invitation, I just wonder sometimes what it might feel like if we had a deeper awareness of each moment's awakening and each moment's surrender, or maybe in a daytime. And if we could possibly think of our little magic carpet over here, our mat, as a blank slate, a canvas to which we put the words, or put the drawing, the artwork, the beauty. So that's kind of my invitation this morning. Could we come to our mat with this sense of this open canvas for our lives, and have a little microcosm of that in our practice? Yeah, so you, if you're not already on your back, could go to your mat and just begin on your back. And maybe if you could sort of reverse the process, especially those of us who are in the evening hours, if you could go back 12 hours or whatever, or 1 hour if you just got up, and just imagine that you have just awakened to your day. Or you're just awakening to this moment, to this practice. So with your eyes closed, softly awakening to this moment. And whatever that means to you. So perhaps just slowly opening your eyes and taking in the room, or moving your head side to side and finding your hands, your fingertips. Maybe rocking through your body slowly in some way. Stretching, arms overhead, legs away. Just take a couple of minutes to come into this moment. As there is no right or wrong. And then coming back to center with your feet on the floor, soles of the feet on the floor, knees bent, so position of comfort. If you have your block here, we're going to use this widest setting and just press your hips up and set your sacrum right on that, on the block there. If you don't have a block, you could do all this on the floor, but just feel the little bit of lift in your hips. Do draw your navel up and in. And then if it feels okay for your low back, stretch one leg long. Really drawing navel up and in, so a little bit of attention to the core. If you're on the floor, or if this doesn't serve you at all, just take the block out and go to the floor. And then you could inhale and reach that leg up to the sky. Bend and set that foot down. Reach your opposite leg long. And inhale, reach up and bend and set that foot down. Just a couple of rounds like that. Just feeling into your hips. And begin to match your movement with your breath. And again, the invitation to spontaneity, if it feels nice to hold, just hold the leg for a couple of breaths, opening the front of the hip, particularly if you got into some hiking or cycling or something today or this weekend. And then if it feels okay for your low back, you could stretch both legs long here. Press into the back of your head slightly and tuck shoulder blades under. And then come back to a position of comfort with soles of the feet on the floor. But now take your feet a little further away from your hips. And then press the soles of your feet into the floor and isometrically drag your heels back towards your hips. Feel your hamstrings here. And just to practice an embodied practice, and realize the beauty of this temple that we live in is pretty amazing. Good. And then from this position, just lift your hips and then touch them back down on the block or the floor, just slightly. So kind of a modified bridge. Lift and touch back down. Lift and touch back down. And just repeat that a few times, moving at a pace that feels nice to you. So we'll move back and forth through some flow and then some holding. And the thread that I'm hoping will make sense in some way is that we're working with this idea of awakening and surrendering. Last time you touched down, can you bring both knees in towards your chest? You might have to adjust your seat a little bit. And then you can take the soles of your feet to the floor, press up, and take your block out and come down to the floor. You want your block up to the top of your mat. You can cross now at your ankles or roll to one side and press up. And we'll come to tabletop. And as I said, I'd have your block handy, maybe towards the front of your mat there. So take your knees underneath your hips and your hands underneath your shoulders, and you can just begin to move through cat-cow. Keep the back of your neck long when you're in cow, so you're not over flexing at the cervical spine. And maybe play with letting the pelvis lead. So the pelvis tucks first, rounding through your back, and then tucking your chin, and then extending tail feathers, pelvis leads as you come through cow. Good. The next time you round your back, set your hips back towards your heels and keep your head off the floor for now. So more of an active child's pose, and really feel length through your spine. Inhale to come up to cow. Exhale, turn your toes under, press hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, drop to your knees, come to cow. And exhale, press and round your back. Lengthen through your spine. Just bring your hips back to your heels, but leave your head up here in this child's pose. Inhale, come up to cow. Exhale, turn your toes under, and downward facing dog. That's the little pattern. Inhale brings you to cow. Exhale to child's pose. Inhale back to cow. And exhale, downward facing dog. And do a couple rounds just like that. If it feels nice to hold in child's pose, you could do that, or in downward dog. We'll meet in just a few more rounds in tabletop. Now in tabletop, turn your toes under and just lift your knees off the ground. So you're hovering a couple inches off the ground. Pick your right foot up. And then as you straighten your left leg, reach your right leg out behind you. So those two actions happening as much as possible together. Now take your right foot to the outside of your left foot. So you make an X with your feet and let your hips come over to the left. You'll feel a stretch in your right calf, side body. Most of the weight's in your left hand, but see if you can keep that fairly even through your hands as you let your hips move over to the left. And then right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to cow. Exhale to the child's pose. Keep your head off the floor here and lengthen through your spine. Really feel the length through your spine. Your fingertips are engaged. Inhale, up to cow. Turn your toes under, lift your knees and hover. Lift your left leg, left foot just right off the floor. And as you extend through the right leg, extend through the left leg, up and behind you. Take your left foot to the outside of your right foot so pinkies are looking at each other. And your ankles are crossed in an X. And then let your hips move to the right. Unwind that X, bring your left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to cow. Exhale, drop your hips back towards your heels in the child's pose. Keep your forehead off the floor here still, but a little bit more active, child's pose. And then we'll come back up to table. And here I just want you to make sure that your knees are kind of together, ankles together, right? So there's no splaying out of your feet in either direction. And then you'll set your hips back to your heels in Vajrasana. Hips back to heels in Vajrasana. Okay, and you do want to have your block handy. Good. On your next inhale, come up under your knees, sweep your arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, as you sweep your arms up, bring your left foot forward. Exhale, open twist. So you turn away from the front leg. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, close twist. You can take your right hand to the outside of your left leg. Inhale, sweep your arms up. And now exhale as you bring your hands to your sacrum. Straighten the front leg slightly, or any amount is possible, and bow like humble warrior. Inhale, bring your arms up above your head and take your left leg long to the side. Exhale, reach your left hand down your left leg, gate pose. Right arm reaches up and over. And here's where you might want your block to the outside of your right knee. So inhale to come back up, and then exhale, block on any level or hand to the floor. Right hand to the floor and left arm up and over, big side stretch in the left side of the body. Inhale, sweep your left arm back up and come back to both knees on the floor. Inhale, reach your arms up, and exhale, child's pose. You could shift the block over to the other side because that's where we'll be going. Inhale, come up to cow. Turn your toes under, lift your knees off the floor. Pick up your right foot and extend through the left leg as you extend through the right leg. Set your right foot to the outside of your left foot, pinkies looking at each other lovingly, and let your hips fall over to the left. You could even crawl your right hand a little further towards the short edge of your mat, really stretching through outer shoulder and armpit here. And then come back to downward facing dog. Inhale to cow. Exhale, child's pose. Keep your forehead lifted here and length through your spine. Really feel that unwinding of your spine as you come back into the child's pose. And then inhale, cow. Neutral spine, curl your toes, lift your knees, hover. Lift the left leg, just the left foot off the floor. So you're almost like getting ready to sprint. And then as you straighten the right leg, reach the left leg behind you. Bring your left leg to the left foot to the outside of the right foot. Pinkies looking at each other. And let your hips move to the right. Maybe you crawl your left hand a little further towards the front edge of your mat. And then downward facing dog. Inhale to cow. And then get your legs together, knees together, ankles together, tops of the feet to the floor. Set your hips back. Vajrasana. Inhale, sweep your arms up as you come up onto your knees. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, as you sweep your arms up, this time right foot comes forward. Exhale, open twist. Inhale, arms up, reach up. Exhale, close twist. You could bring your left hand to the outside of your right foot, right leg. Inhale, sweep your arms up. And then exhale, straightening your front leg any amount. Come into a bow. Hands to your sacrum. Inhale, sweep your arms up as you take your right foot out to the right. Exhale, reach your right hand down your right leg, left arm up and over, gate pose. Inhale, sweep your arms up, and exhale, block to the outside of your left foot or hand to the ground. Come into a big side opening. Right arm up and over. Here, this time, let's play with something different. So as you come out of this, sort of swoop yourself down, bring your knees together, come to child's pose. Inhale, come up to cow. And exhale, turn your toes under, press up, downward facing dog. And here's where you might take a still pose, still life, or just move in downward dog in any way that feels nice. Perhaps for some of us, this is an awakening pose, and maybe for some of us, this is a surrendering pose. Could it be different for different beings? I think so. Inhale to come to your knees and come to cow. And then with knees together, ankles together, drop your hips back, Vajrasana. We'll go through that sequence one more time so you could move your block over to the first side again. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale as you rest your hands in heart center. Inhale, arms up as you bring your left foot forward. Exhale, you'll open away from that front leg into an open twist. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, close twist. Inhale, arms reach to the sky. And exhale, you could walk your foot forward a little bit, that front foot, and come into a bow, humble warrior on your knee. And the next inhale, you'll sweep your arms up and simultaneously take your left leg out to the side. And then exhale, reach your left leg down, your left hand down your left leg, and open up into gate. Inhale, both arms reach up for the sky. And exhale, right hand to the floor or to your block. Maybe you can come a little bit further, closer to the ground this time, and reach your left arm up and over. Palm faces the floor. Big side opening. And this time we'll do that same little swishy thing. So we'll kind of turn our chest towards the right hand and swoop ourselves around as we bring our knees together and come to child's pose. Inhale back to cow. Exhale, turn your toes under, press to downward facing dog. Inhale, come to cow. Neutral spine, check your knees and ankles are together, and come back to Vajrasana. Shift your block if you need it on the other side. Inhale, sweep your arms up, come up on your knees. Exhale, pause with your hands in prayer at heart center. Inhale, as you sweep your arms up, bring your right foot forward. Exhale, open twist. So that's away from the front leg. So you feel your whole body is open. And then inhale, arms come back up. And then exhale, we bring left hand to the outside of the right leg in a closed twist. Inhale, sweep the arms back up. Maybe scoot that front foot forward a bit and fold into humble warrior. Now we coordinate everything together. So inhale to sweep the arms up and bring the right foot out to the right. Exhale, reach your right hand down your right leg and open into gate pose. Inhale, bring arms back up overhead. Exhale, left hand to the block, the floor. Oh, allow your right side body to just be stretched super long here. Relax your neck. And then you'll turn your gaze down to your hand and swoop through center, bringing both knees together and coming into child's pose. Keep the length in your spine, but do go ahead now and let your forehead rest on the floor. Taking a couple breaths here in child's pose, a surrender posture for sure for most of us. And then on your next inhale, press into your shins so that you can lift up off of your shins and up onto your knees again, arms overhead. And then as you release, hands through heart center, set your hips back one more time in Vajrasana. Okay, from here, now we're going to shift our hips over to the left and bring your right foot to the outside of your left knee in Ardha Matsyenasana. Okay, so your right foot to the outside of your left knee. And I'm turned to face you just slightly so that you could see that setup. But I'm going to turn because we're going to try something here kind of fun. So see if you can stand up onto your right foot. You might have to press your hands on your right thigh. Stand up on the right foot and set your left foot into some version of tree. Very nice. Interlace your fingers and reach up through your hands. And wherever you need your left foot to be, it could be resting on your right foot or it could be against your calf. We had to do kind of that was a funky balance move. And then reach your hands away from your bent knee, so to the right. Come back to center, bending through your right leg. Take your left leg on top of your right leg in Garudasana, eagle legs. You could rest your toe on the floor, or you could maybe wrap twice. And then left leg is on top, so left arm goes underneath. Squeezing to midline. It's okay if you fall out. Unwind, unwind, woo! And you might have to come back to the center of your mat then. And inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold through center. Finding hands to the mat, coming back into downward facing dog. Good fun, yeah? Inhale, come just to a half sort of modified plank. And exhale, hips back. So just feeling into your shoulders here a bit as you move forward and backward. If you're ready to go for a full plank and lower through chaturanga and have a little vinyasa, you can do that as well. If you'd rather be still life in downward facing dog and pedal out your legs, do that. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your knees to the mat and come to cow. And exhale, take the knees together, set yourself back, hips to heels, length through your spine. So keep your head up just to the very end, and you can take your forehead to the floor or to a block if you want to. And then we'll press back up, Vajrasana, drop our hips over to the right, and now left leg comes across, left foot to the outside of your right leg. And you probably noticed when you stood up, you were kind of off your mat, so you could scooch back into the middle. And again, let's try this again. For me, this side is much harder. I have to start with my hands on the floor and then to my left leg, and then step up, bring your right foot anywhere on your left leg in tree pose. And then here, let's interlace our hands, reach the hands up, and side bend over to the left, away from the bent leg. And back to center, bending through your standing leg, wrap your right leg over top, and you could rest on your right foot, or maybe wrap twice. Right arm goes underneath, full Garudasana. And then unwind everything. Take a fold, find your mat, come to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, high plank. And exhale, lower either with your knees or full chaturanga to the floor. Bring forearms underneath, elbows underneath your shoulders, forearms parallel to one another in Sphinx. Draw your tailbone down between your heels. Press your forearms into the floor. So awakening here. Can you feel as your heart lifts this awakening, sense of awakening? Keep the back of your neck long. And then the elbow imprint, where that elbow imprint is, one hand, then the other. Now you're sort of in a baby cobra. Press up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale your knees to the floor, come to cow. And exhale with your feet stitched up, your knees stitched up, come back to Vajrasana. Take your time to get there. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale as you reach the left foot forward, bring your hands down to your sides. Turn your back toes under, press up with or without your hands, and come into crescent lunge. Good. From this crescent lunge, we're going to reach the arms forward, turn the back foot, and sort of stream open, like we were just pulling the cord on a bow, right? And come into warrior two. Inhale here, exhale. And then inhale, sweep left arm up and over, reach right hand back, exalted warrior. And then as you straighten through your front leg, just tilting forward, come into triangle. Keep your top hand on your hips, or even better yet, bring that arm behind to your sacrum. So the back of your hand to your sacrum. So you keep your chest open here. So again, really enlivening the awakening. Front hand is on your shin or your thigh. Good. And then from here, can you bend through your front knee? Hopefully you have your block still handy. And If not, just go ahead, take the time to get it and bring it to the inside of your front foot. Bending through your front knee, bring your front hand to the block. And again, back hand on your sacrum, on your hip, maybe even the back of your head. So the chest is staying open, the heart is staying open in this side angle. From here, let's take the back hand, the top hand, to your hip, straighten through your front leg, take a big step in, and now we're going to switch hands and come into revolve triangle. So right hand comes to the block, draw your left hip back, turning the back foot any amount, and we'll bring the left hand to our left hip. You might be able to continue to turn to the left. Just play in your body. So left hip pulls back. And we're in this revolve triangle. So right hand is on the block. Left hand in. Perhaps you can extend the left arm up, stacking your left shoulder over your right shoulder. Keep the throat soft, face soft. And then spinning your gaze back down to your hand, let's take both hands to the block and step it forward, stepping both feet together in a nice forward fold, supported by the block. Inhale to halfway. Exhale, fold here, take your hands to the mat and step back to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, high plank. Your yogi's choice of how you're going to lower to the floor. You might have to play with your block management here. And then again, bringing elbows underneath shoulders in Sphinx. Opening, awakening through the heart, but could you also find a moment of surrender? And remember how we put the hands into the elbow imprint. So let's start with the opposite hand this time. So one hand, the other hand, you're in sort of a cobra position, and then you can press up and back and downward facing dog. Inhale to the cow. Make sure everything's stitched up. Exhale. Come back, hips to heels momentarily, and then in Vajrasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, as you press up onto your shins, you're going to bring opposite foot forward. So I think it's right foot. Inhale. Press up into crescent lunge. And I'm just going to turn my body so you can see me from the front. So with right foot forward now, reach the arms forward. And then you're going to turn and set the back foot back and open the bow. Coming into warrior two. Inhale and exhale here. Inhale to reach the front arm forward and then come back, releasing your body back into exalted warrior. Can you bring that bottom arm to your sacrum or to your low back? This encourages that shoulder to stay open, chest to stay open. Then as you straighten the front leg, come back Front arm just reaches forward, maybe lands on your thigh, maybe lands on your shin. If you can, keep the top arm at your sacrum, keeping your chest nice and open. And then hopefully you've got your block handy. You're working on block management 101. We'll bend through the front leg. Okay, and this is where you want that block there to come into extended side angle. You could bring the top arm over. So we know that beauty is really pretty personal. So your expression here of beauty. Great. Now, I do have my block to the outside of my front foot. And as I shift, I'm going to bring it to the inside. I'm going to shift my back foot up, and I'm going to bring that foot out a little bit, a little more accessible, straightening the front leg. And I'm going to draw my right hip back, front leg, hip back, 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 as I turn and open into revolved triangle. Maybe it feels okay to stack shoulders. Soften your face. All right, as you spin back around, then you can inhale, back foot to front foot. Use your block to take a nice forward fold right here. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Set your hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your knees to the mat. Come to cow. And exhale, you can keep the feet apart now. Just bring your hips back slowly. Walk your hands forward, tenting your fingers. Keep your forehead off the floor. And lengthen, 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 lengthen through your spine. Really feel this long stretch like it's, I don't know, a Twizzler, and you're pulling both ends of the Twizzler. And then you can soften into it. You can surrender into it. And if it would feel better to have your arms alongside your body, take your arms there. And then we'll press up and drop our hips to one side and open up into just an open leg stance, a big Y stance. Good. Just take a little bit of movement through your torso. Sort of spinning around through your hips. And then you can bring your hands behind your back and bring your feet into Baddha Konasana. And just bow forward any amount. Leave your left foot where it is and take your right leg long. Bring your arms to T. Here's another place where you might want the block, the inside of your extended leg. Inhale, reach the arms up. Externally rotate the right arm as you bring it to the block or to the floor and reach over with the left arm. So Janu Shirshasana. Inhale, sweep up. Maybe bring your hands behind your back, maybe not. Maybe you can take the block here. Bring both feet together, Baddha Konasana. Any amount of folding forward. Leave your right leg where it is, extend the left leg. Inhale, both arms go long. We're going to externally rotate the left arm as we place that forearm down inside the left leg. Oh, you might feel quite a bit tighter on this side. I certainly do. Inhale, sweep arms up, lift both legs together, bring both feet together. Baddha Konasana, any amount of forward fold. We'll do that one more time, so you'll have to shift your block back and forth. And see if you can do this just gathering from the core. So as you inhale, open, it'll be right leg long, left leg in. And then externally rotating, set your block up if you need it, externally rotate that right arm. So palm is up. As you bring that forearm to the inside of your leg, come over into this big side opening. And whatever expression your Janu Shirshasana feels, let that happen. Inhale, press into your forearm, press into your straight leg, help yourself up, reach both feet together, Baddha Konasana, any amount of fold. Inhale, right leg, foot stays in, left leg long. Externally rotate the left arm, bring that forearm to the inside of your left leg and open up Janu Shirshasana on this side. Inhale, press open, bring the feet together, Baddha Konasana. Maybe you take your ankles, take the ankles versus the toes, and then reach the heart forward. Can you feel an awakening in your heart? And then a surrender. And slowly come back up from here. We'll just straighten the legs. So coming into Dandasana, straightening the legs. And let's begin, everyone, with our hands behind our back. So you have that neutral spine. So to me, Dandasana has all these elements of awakening and surrender sort of at the same time. So we brighten the heart. So if you walk your hands towards your hips, see if you can keep your heart bright. And this might be the extent to your fold as well. So we want that neutral spine. But as you spread through the collarbones, brightening your heart, maybe you can bring your hands in front and then hinging at the hips. Any amount is fine. That's your fold. Then surrendering into the posture. So bringing your chin and your gaze to your heart. And you can flow with this. So you could revisit opening on the inhale, awakening, and then that surrender on the exhale. Could you make it as fluid as an artist's paintbrush stroking the canvas? Wherever you are, let's walk the hands back up towards the hips, and you can slide into bent leg position. Take the hands to the back of the thighs and lower yourself slowly, 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 slowly down to the floor. We're not quite there yet, but you could take a breath or two in Shavasana here. And then we'll bring feet to a position of comfort, so soles of the feet to the floor. And bring arms alongside your body, pressing. You could bend the elbows here and press into your upper arms and scoot your shoulder blades underneath. And then on your inhale, press and lift your hips. Coming into bridge pose. And then exhaling, lowering down, just really letting your whole spine unfurl, one vertebra at a time. And at the very end, it might feel nice to pull your knees in. And then take the soles of your feet back to the floor. And on your inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips, lift the chin, awaken in the heart here. So the chin reaches up towards the ceiling. So we're brightening through the heart space. And if you wanted to go further with this, you could interlace your hands underneath your sacrum, pressing up even further. I'm going to just do a few rounds where I lower slowly, just feeling each spine bone, each vertebra as I roll back down. And sometimes I like to tilt my pelvis away from, tilt my pelvis forward. So pull my pubic bone away from my navel at the end, and then press back into the floor. So just do a little pelvic tilting at the end, and then set myself back up, press into my feet, lift hips, lift chin towards the ceiling. Now, there's so many variations you could do here. If you want to hold your bridge, go into a wheel. If you'd like to move your feet further from your bum, and then draw your heels back isometrically towards your hips. Now the hamstrings are on, and lift from that position. Feels quite a bit different. Hamstrings doing a little bit more work. Perhaps widening your stance. Widening your stance, you'll feel the outer hamstring working now, outer portions of that group working. Really feel your glutes. And then once you've done the amount or the work that feels nice in your body, let's take a twist together. So we'll begin with our feet in a position of comfort. And we'll just windshield wiper the knees softly side to side, just saying, hey, body, this is what we're going to do, right? And then come back to center, press your feet into the floor, lift your hips just enough to slide your hands underneath your bum, and then take your hips over to the right, set them back down, stack knees, and come to the left with your knees open through your arms, gazing up at the ceiling or to the left hand. Scoop your belly to the right. Some of you might enjoy straightening the top leg. Maybe you could reach your right hand or your left hand, sorry, to your right foot. And if that feels nice in your body, maybe you could scooch the bottom leg over towards, that's going to be your left leg. You scooch that over towards your right side of your body, and maybe your right hand can take that foot. Wherever you are, we'll slowly unwind. If you have the top leg straight, I like to bend that leg again, and then inhale as I pick the top leg up and bring the bottom leg to meet it. Both feet to the floor, and a couple pelvic tilts, coming back to center now. We press into the feet, lift your hips just slightly, set them over to the left and back down, stacking your knees, bring the knees to the right. Arms in the T position, many variations. So gaze can be up at the ceiling, over to the left hand. Top leg could be straight. I'll go through that whole funny thing again, kind of I think we call it a figure 4. If you do straighten the top leg, you could reach that top leg, it's my left leg, over to my right hand, and you could connect the two, and then you can kind of scooch your bottom leg over and take it. That's your right leg, take it with your left hand. So you're completely connected in this shape here. So much of nature has this symmetrical beauty. And I think we're practicing, playing around with symmetry in our yoga practice as well. Now, wherever you are, if you've extended the legs, bring the legs back to bent position with the knees stacked, and then inhale, top knee up, bottom comes with. You can kind of settle yourself back into symmetry in the hips, setting your feet down, your hips down, a couple pelvic tilts. And then take your time to surrender to final Shavasana. Can you soften something somewhere? And can you let the softening continue through your body? Feeling heaviness in your legs. Support of the earth beneath you. Can you soften the muscles in your face, around your eyes? Between your brow. Allow your jaw to be soft. Even your eyes, let them recede back into their sockets just falling backwards. And from here, you might take your hands to heart center and bring some awareness just to something beautiful in your life, in your sort of existence. Could be something in the natural world, could be some recent experience with beauty. Allow that appreciation just to fill you. Spread throughout your body. And you can stay on the floor as long as you like. We will meet in a seat if you would like to come up to a seat, and we'll just do a little bit of sound beauty. So the vibration of Om. So join me if you'd like, and stay put if you'd like to do that. Let's take a deep inhale through the nose. Big open mouth exhale. And we'll inhale to Om. May the merit of our practice encourage all beings to unveil the hidden brilliance, beauty that lies within all of us. Namaste.